As we're thinking about this season for LDHR, you've heard me talk about the word reset. When we were in Bangkok in November, one of the things that the Lord brought to mind was we might be needing to actually take a fresh look at LDHR. How are we doing? What's going well? Where do we need to pay attention? We have a couple of really strong tools. I think all of you might be familiar with Evaluate HR, like just a simple questionnaire to help you as an LDHR leader evaluate the function in your country. We also have a staging tool that could kind of set development of the function based on the stage of the ministry that you're in. You know, what needs to be happening in a stage 1 country to have a good long-term leader development in HR function, stage 2, stage 3. But in terms of freshness, what we're thinking about right now is a third way to look at our function, and that is from the lens of a staff member's experience. Most professional HR associations have a concept called the employee life cycle. What does an employee's process look like from recruiting through retirement? And generally, there are 6 phases: recruiting, application or hiring, onboarding. What does it mean for this person to be integrated into the organization that's hiring them? Development. How will this person grow and be developed during their tenure with us? Retention. What is the environment like where this person serves? And is it the kind of environment that encourages them to stay? And then retirement or separation. In our case, many times people receive a different calling from the Lord. It isn't so much about retirement. It's about how do we part, and do we do that in a way, in a good way. So those are generally the 6 phases. We are looking at it from an organizational point of view, and we'd like to introduce this as a third way to look at our function. And let me share my screen so you could see what I'm talking about. So in our movement, we generally start with recruiting, and a lot of times we'll have our field staff as well as the LDHR function might be doing the recruiting. But we know that a lot of our best candidates are coming from people who are involved in the Win Build Send component of our ministry, wherever that is taking place. Our application process, I came across an interesting notebook a few years ago, and it was this meeting in the 1980s where the sole focus of an international gathering of LDHR leaders was on the application process and comparing notes, looking for best practices way back then. Onboarding, or how do we bring new staff into our movement, generally has 3 parts. We do some kind of orientation to the national ministry. New staff training is introduced, and so is MPD, Ministry Partner Development Training or support raising. Usually those first 3 phases are accomplished in a relatively short amount of time. It could be generally 3 years or less, depending on your national policies. The development and the retention phases for our movement. Development is really about growth. We want one of our core values of growth to be expressed there. And we're also looking to help our staff members be effective or fruitful in the ministry that God has called us to. And so we want to give them the necessary coaching and clarity on their work while they're involved with us, so that they feel like they're doing the best job they can. They're getting good feedback on what they're doing well and what needs to improve. And we're actually making progress in the mission. somebody said to me one time, she goes, I like being on a team where we can see progress. And that's kind of what we're about. The retention part is like, what is the ministry environment about? And does it call out the best in our people? And are they seeing that they're making significant contribution to our mission? These two phases, as you can see with the two little diagrams, this is the place where people can see over the long term that I am known, I am needed, and I have a future. It's what enables us to have staff who will stay around because they want to see what God has called us to become reality. And then the sixth phase is retirement, separation, or in rare cases, termination. And we want to make sure that if our people are leaving, that we're leaving in a good way. We're leaving on good terms, and we have that opportunity. So in order to bring kind of this fresh point of view, you'll be receiving from your regional leader, LDHR leader, in a few weeks, a little assessment that's based on these 6 phases. And we are eager for our criteria for this assessment would be that it would be helpful to you as a national LDHR leader to be able to kind of see where your strengths are and where you might need attention from a staff experience lens. The second thing we want to do is kind of establish a global benchmark. What are our relative strengths and weaknesses globally? And are there places where we may need to have a different kind of resource or a different kind of conversation? How do we engage as LDHR leaders to help strengthen each phase of this staff life cycle? And the third would be to help regional roundtables have a good understanding of where relative strengths are regionally, so that we know where we can offer help. If one country is stronger at one phase than another, we have the opportunity to collaborate together and things like that. So we're looking forward to seeing what will come. It's a relatively short survey that'll come through Google Form, and several questions on each of these phases that would be easy to answer from a strongly disagree to a strongly agree format. So we're looking forward to seeing what that might hold. So look for it. We're anxious to come back to look at those results at our global LDHR team face-to-face meeting in March. So till then, I hope that your personal reset will be fruitful, and whatever reset we might need to do for LDHR globally in this new season, I'm eager to see what the Lord points out to us through this process. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for doing all the stuff that is often behind the scenes and not known, that you can't talk about either. You know, you might go home with heavy hearts some days. And my prayer is that the Lord will meet you right in those places. I was reading yesterday in Psalm 62, where it says, pour out your heart to the Lord because he is a refuge for us. So may the Lord be the refuge for you as you're looking at this year. That's it for today from Global LDHR. Thank you.